since doing it.
We're going live.
Okay.
I love it. So I think we're live now.
All
This is
right.
great. I love this live stuff. Actually, I'm really enjoying. It reminds me of old days podcasting.
Yeah.
So, Stanton, good to talk. Good to see you again, man. Good to see you.
Yeah. Good to see you too.
Nice new jacket you have there.
Oh, thanks, man. You know how we roll.
Yeah, we have a whole fashion line. That's right.
What do you
So
got there? Some iced coffee?
yeah, I do. Yes, I do. I do. Let me show you some of the. Since we're showing off fashion, what the fuck?
Nice.
This is beautiful. Well, it's orange. I don't know how much you could see, but this is like flaming orange.
That's rad, man.
And we have nice Baphomet
Love it.
in gold. It's very, very
That's
cool
cool.
stuff, I think.
Very cool stuff.
I think. I got a whole rack over here. I'll show off my shit some other time. We'll have to do a fashion show on here, show and tell next time we do. We should do that. Do a show and tell of new merch that we have.
Yeah, for sure. We can do that sometime.
Yeah, each time we stream, we'll just do the. And we'll figure this out how we can get it to stream to your Facebook and all that stuff later. Or Baphomet X.
Yeah. There's a way for us to do it live, I think, on both channels, so that we can, broadcast it more.
Yeah, using this restream thing, I can go to Facebook, Twitter, all these places. I just because of court stuff, I have to lock down some shit right now.
Yeah. That's life, man.
Yeah, losing my
life.
hair.
You're not doing anything right unless you're getting sued.
Well, yeah, Jesus Christ, man, fuck, dude, this is nuts. Anyway, lawyers are really expensive. It's wrong that we don't have access to free legal in this country. The only way you can fight is a street fight, underground violence, or lawyers.
Yeah.
What other options you have?
I guess throwing a curse, but
But who does that? That only makes one. Only that you fucked them over. Everyone else is guessing if it's real. They don't know. We know the real deal on the curses.
That's debatable. Well, we can discuss that further if you'd like.
What?
I mean, I've cursed people and they've died.
Oh, I'm not saying they don't work. I'm saying other people aren't going to believe it.
Oh yeah, sure, whatever.
But when a lawyer puts a lien on your shit or takes your money or then they believe that.
Feel that.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I've said this for a long time. This is like one of my sayings. I wish my enemies long, agonizing lives.
Yeah, right.
It's like death is too good for some people.
Oh yeah, I used to tell, like, when I have to threaten people when I was a young man, I'd be like, "Oh, you're not going to get hurt. It's your loved ones, your friends, your family. You're going to have to live with the pain that comes to your niece or your nephew." Yeah. But of course, that's in movies. I don't really do that in real life in Chicago.
Hardly. So what happened at Walpurgisnacht, man? I thought there was going to be a Q&A with Carla. What happened?
Oh, I love this hard questions. So we did the Witches' Sabbath on April 30th. It went great. It was fucking phenomenal.
It looked like a fun party.
Oh, dude, it was dude. Oh God, I'm so pissed off at these cops.
I love the bearded burlesque dancer.
Yeah, she did Rasputin and Swan. Yeah, it was fucking God, dude. It was so really great. Cool. I was okay. So here it is. I don't drink too. I drink, but I'm having a good time. I'm taking mushrooms. I'm tripping my face off, playing grab ass with young ladies. It's fucking great, dude. We're just having the best time. Oh, yeah. The best time. And have this great plan with like Naystack. She was going to perform and like piss on some dude, beat on this guy. We just had this show building. It was good building. Yeah. And the cops show up. And like, this is every time I've done an event in Chicago, can guarantee 100, like 50 cops. And I'm not even joking. You can see footage of it from like the Expo the Extreme when the first time I brought black metal into the States. Cops show up, 50 cops rush the building. Did the Court of Porn again. They surround the block off the streets. It's insane how they treat art in Chicago.
Yeah.
If the artists aren't like, if we're just doing art to have fun and do shit, they come down on it. But if it's commerce,
Yeah, no, if it's snobbery, if it's snob art, then they'll let it fly if there's enough money being exchanged.
right? But this cutting edge art like is crazy. Like
No.
I did the expo. I've merged like porn stars and heavy metal because they go together so well. And
Yeah.
and when we did that, I know these cops come in and all these lawyers started to, they were like, we're here to defend you. And this is 30 years ago, 30 years ago.
Whoa.
And they're
That's
like, we love what you do. You're First Amendment warrior. We're here to help you out. And I don't know who they are. And they start hassling the cops for me. We're lawyers. They start handing them their cards. And so the cops leave. And then the cops, and this is not the Witches' Sabbath, this is another event. And then
Yeah.
the cops come back with the white shirts with the stripes on who know the law. They can argue with lawyers. And so they argue with the lawyers and they go, okay, you win. And they leave. And the lawyers are telling me at that time, hey, make sure you tell all the porn stars they're not paid to be here. And I'm like, why? And they're like, and they weren't, but he's like, because adults can be nude in front of adults. It's 18 and over here, you're carding people. So everyone here can be naked legally. But if you're paid to be naked, it's a bust.
It's porn and it's a bust.
Right. So we did
Because it's
that.
without permits.
Yeah, we did that. And then we had bikers like security at the back door and cops at the front door. And then like someone got me on film. A biker like is leading me over to these cops and I'm paying him off to hold the party a little longer. And this guy shows me the footage and I'm like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have filmed that. And he's like, dude, I'm going to put it out. I'm like, probably going to be the last thing you put out, but you're going to do what you're going to do. I wouldn't do that. I would not do that. And he never did that, you know. So anyway, so that's how Chicago rolls. And so fast forward to the Witches' Sabbath. So we do this event, and so I haven't done an event in Chicago in over a decade. And so going around town was wild for me, bro, because like Satanists run businesses now here, like big, successful fucking businesses with multiple locations. And they're like, yes, we want your poster. Put them right in the window. We love you, and we love this. And I'm like, oh, God, this is great. So I had a clue.
It's a nice feeling, huh?
Yeah, and I had a clue we had something going on. Like I put my ear to the
Yeah,
street. I don't listen to my ego when I do events. I really listen to what people are saying on the street that I need them to come. I need everyone that's part of the street or the counterculture or in part of our tribe to I need to hear their response.
Yeah.
Because my delusions or illusions of what's going on are one thing. And everyone involved thinks they're great. But when you go to the street, they'll tell you, yeah, this is lame. But no, they were eating it up and they're putting the posters in the windows. And it was great. We had these big posters. And anyway, so we're doing this event. Oh, dude, it was so fun, dude. I'm dying thinking about how fun it was going to be for me. And these, all of a sudden, I see these cops, and I'm like, "What in the fuck?" And I rush in. I say,
Somebody
"Cops."
had to call them.
Yeah, and someone else like some swarmy whatever. She's like later, "Who do you think called them?" And I'm like, you know, how would I fucking know? Probably you at this with that kind of question. Maybe you did, but I don't care. You know, why would I care who call? And I could have a million people calling them. You know, we had a lot of people a lot of artists that all of my artists are dangerous. You know that I deal with dangerous artists. So a lot of the people on the show had beefs with other people, and there was intense situations leading up to it. A couple of weeks where a lot of the performers are young, so they're putting their pistols in the cameras and stuff. You know, like they're trap metal, so they're showing their guns and stuff on Instagram as we're promoting this event. And some of the performers on the event were like, "Hey, we don't want to perform with those people. They're scared.
They're a little too much."
And when I do an event, I'm like, I back up all the artists. I'm like, well, if you don't want to, I'm not taking them off the show. They haven't done anything to anyone on the show. What they do in their life,
how they promote themselves is really up to them.
Right. All I do is listen to artists, and I think they're reflecting their culture or what they see around them. They're understanding how to communicate to their friends, and I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, what's the difference between cowboys on TV show? You know, like guns don't bother me like that. So anyway, I stuck up for all the artists on the event, and we sort of had a unified force going in there. So whoever called. Might probably got 6 different calls. What I know is that the police came down so hard on us, and it's every event I've done in Chicago, they come down really hard on it, and it doesn't happen to too many other events except for mine. I would guess, and it started with my association with your grandfather. So the Expo the Extreme, he had just passed away like maybe the day or two before the Expo happened. He passed away on the 28th, and we were on the 31st. And so we got news that he passed away. But it was like, oh my God, this is wild. It's too bad. But and Chicago has a heavy Catholic church influence. Like they're the gangsters here, the Catholic Church. And so I'd imagine if I were to guess, when it comes down to it, when the police look at these events and what they're going to bust and what they're going to put their money and resources into, when
there's a bunch of Catholics on the force, and they're like, fuck this satanic garbage.
Right. Not only is it going to be something we're going to have a good time breaking up, but it's going to be entertaining. There's going to be, so they put the resources.
So it's like a party for them too.
Right. Right. And so I got inside information because I have, with our community, satanic community, we don't all look the same.
Yeah.
So I have some friends.
But when you get us all together in one place, you can tell.
Well, but
to a degree,
right? To my friends, a friend of mine, a hardcore Satanist, he can do security for. They teach Secret Service people how to kill. Like they're like, this guy studied in Asia and done. He's like a fucking ninja quality, whatever. He's got all these doctrines, knows how to just pull your eyeball out in less than a second. Can kill with just do it. Break 37 bones in 3 seconds. So he's like one of these great people. And I said, hey, Carla's coming to town. I just really want to make sure that nothing happens to her. Period.
Yeah.
And she's, and Carla's like, I don't need security. She was fine with it, but she wasn't afraid. My due diligence is to be responsible about my guests and my friends.
Yeah.
And I know that the LeVay name and people, and I know personally being associated with Anton puts a target on you for not only Catholics, but Satanists that want to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, the thought did cross my mind that you might have had the idea of it being a good marketing ploy to have me assassinated at your event, and that it would make for good advertisement. But of course, that was a fleeting thought. But that's the type of thing, of course, that crosses my mind. I mean, it's not you; it's more of a projection of my own, fears and insecurities or whatever. But
it's a real fear. It's like a paranoia, a reasonable paranoia.
Yeah.
Because we do have death threats and stuff like that. So I understand.
Well, I've been shot at. I've been attacked. I've been jumped.
Same.
I've experienced it all. So, yeah.
Same. And so to tell you about that, I would not do that because it would kill any event I had. Then no one would want to work with me. People would be like, the last event you had a guy die. It sort of destroys my business. That's why I had security
like trying to sell a murder house.
Yeah, it's like that's why I had security on Carla. At some point, a buddy of mine was coming in from San Francisco. I go, can you change your flight and chaperone Carla for me? Make sure she's cool. And he's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, we don't need that security. I'm here. I'm like, bro, my event, my rules. They're picking you up. They're dropping you off. This is it. You just imagine you're saving all that money on Ubers. Okay, they're going to take care of you. But for me, because I want to do the event again, if something happens there, no one, you're not going to show up. No one else is going to show up to another event. That's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So but these are satanic friends of mine. And so he's like, yeah, I got it. And you could not tell he was a Satanist. They look like cops, and they had handcuffs on their side, so they're ready. And so when they're moving people out, they're standing against the wall and they're sort of holding Carla, they put Carla in a certain section, and they start talking to the cops. And my friend's like, so what's going on? Why this one out of all the events you have? And he's like, he shows them a list of all the events and addresses they know do these parties and do that they're about to roust. And he's like, well, this was moved up to the top of the list. We don't really know why, but it was the priority of the night. That's why all the resources are here. They said to make sure that this was squashed with very, capability, like make sure nothing
Was it
happens.
because people were drinking alcohol without a license, or?
No, we didn't. We eliminated that. We wouldn't do
Uh,
anything. We did everything by the book, and they still see. That's what we did. We're like only 99 people can only be in the building at one time. Anything over that, you have to, can be a private party if 98. So we made sure only 98 people were in there. We didn't sell alcohol at that event because of that. Because we thought we'd get rousted. So we did everything by the book. And that's why my friend's like, well, why would you shut this down? They were doing all these things by the book. And he's like, he showed him the list, said that was just a priority. He goes, but what are you shutting them down for? He's like, well, they're doing a party here. And he goes, yeah, but there's a child place upstairs. Like there was a daycare center in the front of the building. And there was a place next to us, like a gym that does events. And he's like, so it seems like this is selected because of what they were doing, not because they couldn't do an event. He goes, what would be the legal reason why you're shutting this down? Because we could sue them, right? If it's bias or something like that. And he goes, oh, we'll find a reason. That's what we're all here to do, is find the reason. And my friend's like, what? And he goes, yeah, we'll find something, wiring or something. And they did the same thing at the Expo, the Extreme. They looked around and went, the wiring here's bad. You don't have licensing for this. And that's what they do. And so that's what they did at that event.
Got it.
The satisfying thing about that event, bro, was that the people that were running the event eventually came in and were like, Shane, and they're yelling, because I'm tripping. I'm still laughing at the cops. Yeah, fuck you. I'm having a great time. And I noticed the cops are like afraid of me or something. They're standing off and really, okay. And we also have the terrorism task force there. A guy with the badge is there, and he says domestic terrorism task force. And he's there, and he's like telling the cops to stay away from me and my table. And I'm laughing and tripping, being an idiot. And the people running the event go, Shane, you've got to tell everyone to leave. And I'm like, what? And they go, no one's leaving until you say so. And I'm like, what? So I'm out of my mind. And I go outside, and all these motherfuckers are out there. And they're all like, showing pistols, like they're like, we're ready. They're ready to, they're pulling pistols, showing me pistols. And they're like, we don't need to leave. They need to leave. And they were saying it to the cops when they came in. They're like, no, we're not leaving. You're leaving. And the cops all had fear in their eyes. And I was like, I've never seen that from Chicago cops. And so I went out there and I said, this is.
They were probably afraid there was going to be a shootout.
Well, there was going to be one. If I would have said, don't leave, let's go, there would have been. That's where I felt like, wow, this is a heavy moment. And I thought about it, and I'm looking around and said, this isn't the place to do this. There's no benefit to winning this fight. Yeah. There's no benefit for any of us. It's just a fight to win. Do I think we would win? Yeah, but not only in a moment. And so they start to disperse. I go back in, and then I go back out to do something, and I come back in, and this cop stands, and he goes, you can't come back in. I go, yeah, I can. And people still stuck around. I go, yeah, I can. I've got my shit in there. He's like, and he was an old cop. He grabbed my shirt. And I look over at the terrorism guy, and I go, you tell this guy to take his fucking hand off my shirt. You guys are going to have problems all fucking night. And he goes, take your hand off that guy's shirt right now. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, holy shit. I never had that kind of power with cops. Chicago cops would be like, fuck you and break your head. So it was like they knew not to fuck with me in that moment. And they knew there was danger. And that was satisfying for me, dude. That was satisfying for me. I was able to get my shit out of there, go get a van, leave across town. The cops had to wait there for 45 minutes while I had to go get my van, load it up. But they did. And cops normally don't do that. But they had to negotiate with me to get these people to leave safe. And so that was cool. It was really neat. All of it was really cool. And
what happened to the Q&A with Carla?
Well, okay. The cops came. So, it sort of broke up everything. She was doing that. We were doing that at the booth all the time. Like people were coming up talking to us. So we were doing it on a semi-individual level, but people were like, there was people like hanging on every word we were talking about when people were asking us questions. We were signing posters and selling those for a couple $100. And people would come up by them. Me and her would sign them, and they'd ask us questions, and everyone was hanging around asking questions. So it was happening on one level, but not on the stage where we wanted to film it and record it and do all that cool stuff. Yeah, that was supposed to be on Sunday at the event, but it was closed down. They put a big sticker on the door. The business was shut forever. They could never reopen. So that's what happened with that. We moved the event across town to a small venue last minute. Not many people showed up to that because it was moved and no one knew where it was. But we did pull off the second day. The cops didn't stop it. We were able to pull off the ritual of it the second day, and the bands that came in from out of town were able to perform. And
That's
we
cool.
talked about doing the Q&A, but me and Carla were looking around and we're like, yeah, it's like 20 people. We didn't feel like doing it at that point. So we just figured we'd do it again online or whatever. And I did like a 3-hour interview with Carla that's part of some, I'll release it in pieces, but that was sort of like, I did the Q&A with her.
Yeah.
And you just have to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
But Carla was ready to go, and she's Anton's little girl. She could talk Satanism better than most, as you can. I think have a great understanding of what's going on there, and so does Carla. And I've not heard, and I've been in this let's say this subculture for 30 years. I haven't heard too many people be able to talk like you or Carla, and yet you and Carla are ignored, shunned, put in the shitville. No one even mentions the LeVays anymore. And I mean they do, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like with the Satanic Temple stuff, it's turned into garbage talk. And I'm like, yeah, go to the source. Why wouldn't you go to the source? They don't. I don't know why. That blows me away. So for me, it's an effort to not only like play around and hang out with you guys, but it's an effort to get the real understanding of Satanism out there.
Yeah.
To challenge what my old friend Doug is doing and doing wrong. And so what better way to do it than using the source material? You
Yeah.
and Carla. It ain't Peter and it ain't Blanche.
Oh.
Blanche has got a good understanding of things. I'm not saying she doesn't. She mentored under Anton as well, but I don't think Peter has as well. I think Peter's garbage.
Yeah. He's I'm not a big fan.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that last time.
Yeah.
About how he went to attack you and you fought back when we're talking
Yeah,
about
well, I guess I've learned since then that that I guess early on in my 20s there was kind of like a wait and see um approach dealing with me, that they were waiting to see how I would turn out before, assigning me a post at the Church of Satan. But that is just an excuse to, basically write me off. And Peter wants to put Anton in a little box and, pull him out of his pocket when he feels like it. And the rest of the time, it's mostly just self-aggrandizing egomania. But it's like a failed Anton LaVey fan club at this point.
Yeah, well,
We've talked about that.
at least they serve that purpose to a degree. Like they continue to push out his words. I like the LeVay bot that's on Twitter that uses his quotes every day, 3 times a day. Like that's a really great thing. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I know the COS is behind that. And that seems to serve the best purpose, is just making Anton a robot at this point, taking his words
Yeah.
and letting those go forward. When people say something about Satanism, they can improve that bot, or we could eventually build a bot like that. When something's said on Satanism, it could respond to people with Anton's
Yeah.
quotes. And I think that's
Well, we're currently building a machine that's going to be like the old Zoltan the Mystic machine that dispenses tracks. We're going to be using my Anton head and putting it inside of an antique box, and it's going to dispense the 9 satanic statements one at a time.
Oof, that's great.
Yeah.
But even look at that LeVay bot. Maybe do quotes too, because some of those quotes
Yeah.
LeVay bot are just fucking stellar. They really fuck with you. Like it's like, ouch.
Yeah.
Hard truths.
Anton was amazing.
You
We can talk about how incredible Anton was all day.
it is, and it gets. I like when I got involved with him. I got involved totally as a skeptic, totally to burn him down to the ground. Like I got into the investigate and see where I could pull the thread and pull it apart and go, there's where he's failed. Here it is. You know, I look
And
for
he
that
was
loose.
airtight.
What?
He was airtight, huh?
Not only that, the motherfucker haunts me because it's like, even to this day, his words ring timeless. And you want to say,
Yeah.
that sounds old, bro. No, that's where
Oh,
you become legend. Or, you know,
yeah.
that's the great thing about him or Crowley or Blavat, whatever,
Yeah.
Batsky. I mispronounce names all the time, but they are timeless in a lot of their quotes or their observations of humanity. And yeah, your grandfather did that really well, really well.
Yeah. He made it look cool too.
Made it look easy.
Made it look easy. Yeah.
Made it
He
look
did.
easy. Yeah, and now you got. I see, but that's the great thing about when I look at the Satanic Temple. They can't pull it off aesthetically, and they can't do what he was doing. They got to keep
Well,
juggling.
they don't have the charismatic leader. I mean, they their leaders are splintered, it seems. I mean, you were one of them, and you're not with them anymore. So, but they don't have the figurehead that just everyone loves, you know.
Here's the
And
idea.
there needs to be somebody in place that every type of person can idolize in some form or another, in some way or another.
Well,
Anton was easy to look up to.
that's one thing. Like cult of personality is one thing, but how I see it is you can steal an idea, but you can't steal the vision. A vision
No,
is fluid. Idea is like
yeah,
solid. Like this is the idea, but and LeVay Anton had a vision.
yeah,
And so that's what keeps rippling. It's like water. Like I say, I'm like,
yeah.
holy shit, it's rippling to this moment, and it's relative, and it's harsh realities that he just saw. And you know, the funny thing
that,
is,
that are not espoused by the Satanic Temple. I mean, they don't they're not. I don't feel like they're pushing the buttons that he was pushing.
but
I see that they're trying to push buttons, or at least push the envelope, but it's a little too pacifistic for my taste.
but see, there's the thing with Anton's words, they get softer with age, and I don't mean that in a soft way necessarily, but it's like what I no, I shouldn't say soft. A heartfelt. They're heartfelt. They're not heartless. They're actually like, I've looked at humanity and I care so much. I'm going to give my life to tell you what I see and how I see wrongs and rights within it. All I do is look at you people. All I do is study human beings and animals. This is all I've done. I gave my whole life force to this, and that means that's heart-filled, not heartless. And a lot of people take
Yeah,
Satanism as heartless or toxic individuality. When I think, when I interpret it, I see it as he's just understanding it starts with you. Change starts with you. So when a hippie says that, it sounds cool, but when LeVay says it's the individual first, it gets, he attracts a lot of people that are criminal minded in a way, and I don't mean in a bad way because I like criminal minds.
sometimes in a bad way.
Yeah, you know, just in a perverted criminal mind, like in a mental, like a one that's not really thinking straight, you know, and they're not thoughtful. And I think
Yeah,
within Satanism, it's a thoughtful kind of philosophy. And we get thoughtless criminals or people looking to cover up their mental illness or their thoughtlessness with, I'm a Satanist, so I don't have to be thoughtful. No, actually, you
yeah,
do.
yeah,
That's part of our game, being thoughtful.
yeah. I dig
And
it.
yeah, and I think we're very, like most of the Satanists that I know are very sensitive, loving people that are just like, don't fuck with me or I'll fucking hurt you back. Like, you know, my mother, I
So
had a person,
how does Carla feel about you and I carrying on the internet this way?
oh, nothing I'd want to talk about here. Not until, I wouldn't want to talk. How about this? I would do the same with Carly. If she's not here, I don't want to talk about her.
Yeah. Well,
But
I have nothing particularly like personally bad to say about Carla. I mean, she's not the nicest person in the world, but who is?
I was just,
Um
which LeVay is.
uh yeah, you know.
So I would invite Carla in here to talk with us, and I
That would
will.
be great.
I will do that, but I don't. I would do the same with. I don't like to talk about people that I'm working with without them being in the room. You know, that's how
Yeah.
I do that, and I would want the same kind of respect. Like, you know, Shane's not here to defend himself, so I'd want her to tell her, you know, she could spill her tea on you. You know, she can tell her
Yeah.
beef.
I'm not attacking anyone.
I know that.
Yeah.
I and I know that you'd really love to work with her and work it
Yeah.
together. And
It
so
would it would be cool, and it would be smart. I think it would be advantageous, but Carla doesn't have a need or want for money as far as I know. And so I don't think she's motivated by dollar signs as much as she's motivated by whatever her own interests are. So I couldn't say what makes Carla tick. She's clearly a complex person, but uh, yeah, man, I would love to, see my family, at least the splintered factions of it, sort of, if not work together, at least not be against one another unnecessarily.
and you know I'm for that too. You know, I would
Yeah,
love to see you all together, and I think that's for the sake of people understanding what the fuck is
for
going
this for the sake of appearances, even. Just, I mean, really, I mean, when it comes right down to it.
I don't know. The appearance is sort of cool though. It's sort of cool that you all are at each other's throats and hard to deal with, and don't know what fucking time it is or day. You don't have calendars or clocks. It's like what in the fuck? It's like I walk into surreal world dealing with y'all. It's cool because I've lived a life like that myself, but I'm not used to work. Everyone's like, "What time are you going to show up?" Tuesday, 2 p.m. We're getting on that time thing, but you know you guys don't have clocks.
No, I know. I rely on my phone to tell me the time. I don't wear a watch. I'm not one for keeping track of the months. I usually know what month it is by the season. Uh,
Yeah, when I would visit Anton, it would be like show up in San Francisco, and within these 4 days, you're going to get a call at some point. At that time, come over.
be there.
The fuck? Yeah, and you mean in 4 days I just got to sit by a phone and wait? Yeah, basically. Because we didn't have cell phones back then. It was like sitting at someone's house hanging out, you know, talking about things.
Classic.
All of a sudden, I remember San Francisco, the phone rings, and people were acting all coy about this bullshit until the phone rings. So Blanche is on the
Then
phone.
everyone shuts up.
They were like this. They were like, holy shit, it's real. Blanche is on the phone for you, dude. They're ready. I'm like, what? And I go, hey. She's like, yeah, come on by. Here's the about. Hang up. I'm like, that was Blanche? They were like, it was magic. I'm like, yeah. You going to Anton's? Yeah. You think I can go? No. I go, how about this jokes now? How about the fucking jokes? How about you talk? How about you laugh now? Because they make jokes like, oh,
Yeah.
we know these strippers come over and piss in the bucket for him or whatever. They're, you know, talking stories, smack. And I'm like, nothing bad, but they were lighthearted, making laughs. But when the call came, everyone's like, and I knew, you know, I came in there, like I've dealt with celebrities, serial killers. So I'm a journalist that I'm going in just to hang out with this guy and understand what's going on. I wasn't uh, under his
You
spell. I
weren't
wasn't.
yeah, expecting to like leave a priest.
Well, no, I wasn't. I didn't know what was going on. I just wanted to go check him out and hang out and talk like amongst other artists, people that, you know, he's cool in this counterculture. I want to understand it.
Yeah.
Right. So that was it. But everyone else was afraid or had respect, or there was a moment where it was like, wow, he just that phone call changed the energy in this room of 8 people. Like,
Wow.
and I was like, wow, that's sort of magic. I was going over there, driving over. I'm like, that was sort of magical. You know, I don't believe in magic and I don't believe this shit and I don't like, but changing the whole room tone by a phone call is pretty fucking cool. I want to be able to do that someday, you know? So,
Yeah.
you know, but meeting
We
him,
have that effect.
he was a cool dude. He was just a cool guy,
Yeah.
a cool artist guy.
I
Cool.
seem to have a magic effect on people and places as well, just naturally. I think it's born into me or bred into me or however. Uh, when people know that I originate from the Black House, um, there's it's like everything gets strange for a moment. There's like this, and then everything is kind of like off kilter from there, and people's personas. People put up personas and put on masks and do
Yeah.
all kinds of different things, and change the way they act in front of me on the drop of a dime. Just informing people who I am or where I'm from. So I know what that's like. Anton, I guess I inherited that to a degree from him as well. Uh,
That's
yeah,
a
man.
that's a weird thing when you're involved with the counterculture stuff like that. When I was doing, I did obscene books and then serial killer work and all this kind of shit, and everyone tries to one up you, and I don't know if they one up you. They try to relate with you, so they're like, "Look, we did this true crime tour when I took Doogie on this true crime tour, and I remember this guy like I hadn't sent him his package for like a year." And he's like, "Make sure you bring it to that event." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." So I bring him the package. I owe him, whatever he bought for. Bring him his package and extras, and he's like, "Oh, great! This is great. You gave me extras. Cool. You're lucky you brought this." I go, "Oh, quit. Stop." He's like, "No, really, I came. I was going to shoot you." And he shows me his gun. He's like, "If you didn't bring it, I would kill you." And I'm like, "Kill
How do you
me?"
like that?
And he's like, "Yeah." And he
Glad you
goes,
didn't forget the package.
"Yeah, right." And I'm like, "Kill me?" And he's like, "Yeah, you don't believe me?" I go, "I'm going to take you for your word, bro." And he's like, "You want to see a picture of this guy I killed?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, come out to the car. I'll show you the police photos." I go, "How you got police photos of this?" He goes, "Well, I was hiding in the bush. I was fucking his wife." And so I'm hiding in the bush, and I boom, boom, shoot him and say we thought he was breaking in, But he shows me the photos. He's like, "Yeah, I killed this guy." I'm like, "I'm glad you didn't shoot me, bro. Like, we're friends." He's like, "Yeah, if you need anyone shot, I'm your guy." And I'm like, "I'll take that into consideration." Yeah, so those are the
Note
scary
to self.
moments. I think you get.
Oh, I've had encounters, man, with okay,
Let's hear one. Let's hear a story, baby.
okay. I knew this guy, I'm not gonna say his name,
Yeah.
but I knew this guy who was, I mean, I guess you would call him a serial killer. Uh, but he wasn't just, serial killers are also criminals, and they do criminal stuff as well. They don't just kill people. And that's how sometimes you'll find people, they'll find people in jail that are in jail for different crimes, and they'll be like, oh shit, we've got the serial killer already locked up, and we didn't even know. Well, anyway, I knew this guy who was determined to impress me. And his way of doing this was by pulling up to a friend's house that I was at without knowing. I I hadn't told this guy where I was. He had no way. This is like pre cell phones, pre internet. There was no way this dude could have known where I was. But he pulled up right to my friend's house where I was at, and opened his trunk and showed me bags of body parts in his trunk. And I mean, this guy was not fucking around, and he wanted to get a rise out of me, and he certainly did. He managed to do just that. I was obviously, of course, frightened by this guy, uh, but he would show up places where I was at random. It was like this guy was like a master tracker, and like could track people like nobody's business. And he showed me that he had cop lights, like a detective light that he could put on his car, and he would tell me these stories about how he would stop people on the road out in the middle of nowhere and rob them and take them for everything. And he didn't tell me the rest of what he would do, but he left it up to my imagination what would happen to these people that he would rob. And I mean, this guy was serious about the business. And I mean, of course, I've been to prison, so I've been to jail with killers, and I know a thing or two about dealing with murderers. Um, I wouldn't say that my best friends are killers or anything like that, but this guy was definitely trying to buddy up to me as much as he could, and wanted to impress me. Nice leg.
You know, when the shoe fits, wear it.
You need some kind of a cool old man shoe on that, like a dead man's shoe. Where did you score that, or should I not ask?
No, it's legal. It was from a school that burned down, so it was a cool like hung on a rack or whatever.
I had a beautiful human skull that I had bought at a garage sale from a criminal who claimed his brother was a mortician or something like that, and that's how he had it. But I bought it for $15. That's how much a human skull, I guess, goes for at a garage sale. And this one was missing its skull cap, but other than that, it was perfectly intact. But unfortunately, it was confiscated by the police, and I was told later that it was the skull of a Native American. So there's no chance that this guy's brother embalmed this skull. It was a fabricated story. But I had it for the longest time, and I used to love showing people, and it would, of course, freak people out because who owns a human skull? Not many people do. Um, I loved it. I miss it terribly, I complained a lot to the police department to try to get it back, but they said that because it's an unregistered skull and because it's a Native American, that they had to destroy it.
Wow, I'm surprised they didn't find the tribe and give it back to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a lot of dealings with that stuff. San Francisco morgue. I got to go into one of the morgues there and visit a couple times. This young lady was
Yeah.
a big fan of LaVey's, and it's like, "You want to come and see the morgue?" And I'm like,
Oh,
"Yeah." And
I
I
got a
go
story
there.
for you after this.
Oh, bro. I go there, and she meets me up the front, and she's got her high heels on, dressed up, nice fucking fishnecks on. I'm like, "This is how you dress for work all the time?" She goes, "No." Okay. You know, it's like, so we go in, and she's like showing me feet.
We're gonna fuck in the morgue.
You know,
Mortuary sex.
it was, but there's all these stuff, there's this body. I got to clean it out, stick things. It's
There's
like
like stacks of racks of bodies everywhere.
yeah, and then a feet, like this person got a foot cut off, or this is this in jars, and I could have taken anything home. It's like, you want to take it? I'm like, no, I actually don't. I do not. I do not. No, thank you. I know a lot of people.
Pickle it for later.
Yeah, I know a lot of people would have wanted to do something like that, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm just not
Okay,
into
so
it.
I did cadaver transporting for a time. Actually, I've done it more than once. Just as like, for money. It's a
Yeah,
hustle.
yeah.
And this one time we were driving a body from LA to someplace, and we were passing the Museum of Death on the freeway, and I said, let's pull over here really quick. And I proceeded to wheel in the only cadaver that the Museum of Death has ever had inside of it on Hollywood Boulevard, and surprised JD and Kathy with a corpse. And boy, were they surprised.
Oh boy, JD and Kathy, when they were in San Diego, I met them, and I was
Yeah.
doing a Mike Diana book tour. Or something like that. Man, they brought me to their house and showed me this hand that got cut off. It had 666 on it and all this stuff. And we were decent friends for a moment there. I loved the Museum of Death, but he gave me. I got to. It was like right after Sam Kinison died, and he's like,
Mm.
I've got Sam Kinison's death socks, and he shows them to me. He's like, you want to smell them? I'm like, yeah. I'm smelling Sam Kinison's death socks. You could smell the right blood on it. And then he's like, I got something else for you, a Heaven's Gate patch. And I'm like, holy shit. He's like, you want to smell it? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, you smell the decomp in it? I go, what the fuck is decomp? I thought I'm being drugged there. Like right there, I'm sniffing a
Yeah.
drug. He's like, decomposition. You could smell it on there. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So
That's the smell of rotting human.
the A ticket, being a counterculture person, you get the A ticket, you get to see this shit. Morgues, you get to smell the fucking decomp of the Heaven's Gate patches. But you're talking about transporting bodies. When I was younger, I'd spend the summers at my mother's uncles and aunts' funeral home. So a family funeral home. And I would go with Uncle Jim to pick up bodies all the time. It was wild.
Yeah. It's a trip, man.
As a kid, and then I'm like, I look and he had a stainless steel room and with blue walls. And he'd bring the, hearse in there, and then he'd have to clean up the body for a funeral. And I'd be watching through this window, like, because he'd have the window vent open so you can get some air. And I'd be watching through. And one time I saw him pull, saw a person's chest and pull out, because I guess the chest was caved in. So he had to pull it up and stuff cotton in there. And I watched that. I was like as a kid, I'm a kid. So then we're doing Truth or Dare with these kids in town. And we're all doing this Truth or Dare. And I'm like, yeah, okay, my turn. I dare you to go look in that window. I saw my uncle pull and I knew what he was doing. I'm like, I dare you to go look in that window. This young lady goes and looks at it, screams, runs down the fucking block. We never see her
I
again.
would, I would
All
think
the other
so.
kids go run over there. They're looking in the window. Oh my God, they all scream. I'm laughing. My Uncle Jim comes out of there with his gloves on. What are you doing, Shane? You know, later that night, all the parents are over at the funeral home saying, you know, this has damaged my child. We're going to have to get you in trouble. Whatever. It
And
was,
you're still in therapy over it.
yeah, well, yeah. I'm in therapy, all right. Fuck. For life, probably.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the trauma club.
Yeah, you're in therapy too. That's right.
Yes. It's going well. I'm doing good in general. Like, life is cool. I'm like,
That,
it's remarkable that I'm alive and breathing and that I have all my limbs functioning. It's like, I mean, it was really it was like touch and go there for a little while, a year and a half and 2 years ago when I started to get paralyzed from my spinal condition. Um, they were saying that if I didn't get in for the surgery that I did when I did, that I would be likely paralyzed for life from the neck down. I mean, it's serious shit, you know?
I remember all that. I remember when it was happening. I remember helping talk you through it a little bit because it
Dude,
was.
I could barely walk when we first met. I was using a cane, I think.
Yeah, right. That's true. And you were
Yeah.
all hunched over. And I remember talking to you about the doctor, and you know, you were concerned about, you know, obviously going into surgery, dying or not being paralyzed because of the surgery. You know, and it was a scary moment. So I'm glad it's all working out. That's for certain. And I'm
Yeah, it's
more than.
incredible. I'm able to like, you know, like do normal stuff. Like I can hold things and I can like when I'm standing or walking, I can like spin around on my heel and I not fall over. And I mean, I was collapsing when walking and like literally like hitting the floor, collapsing, my knees buckling out from under me. Um, and I was in a wheelchair for like 6 months. It's incredible it's just amazing that I'm alive. I can't, you know, I count my blessings regularly.
Well,
Um,
that it's good that you're sober now because you know you fucked with a lot of people that would kill you. Like,
yeah,
you know, I don't even want to talk about the situation you put me in too much, but like, you know, with that, you know what I'm saying.
yeah,
You know, I have this guy calling me threatening my life. It's not, you know, fucking Jesus Christ. Anyway,
shit. Oops.
but I do this. I do the same thing. I fuck with a lot. You know, I get it. I'm a little older than you, 10 years older, so I get that kind of shit. It's weird when you get older. I don't know if it's because you sense you're getting weaker, or you've seen enough of it where you're like, this is just a non-ending. There's no end to violence or pain, and you can just, you know, sort of switch that in your mind to warmth and joy if you just like work on that. You know, that's what I'm. You know, it's not like I don't
Yeah,
hate anymore, but it's like I'm not going to put all my energy into that kind of shit. It's it doesn't seem to be productive.
yeah. I
I
understand.
yeah, you know, and it also like that kind of shit just shows how desperate you are or whatever. You can't think your way through it, and I think we both have that. That we have a mind that we can think our way through things. So it's
Hmm.
I think more than anything for me, counseling is giving me back my self confidence. I'd forgotten who I was. And coming back to Chicago, it was good to remember who I was. I'd lost myself for a long time. And so that insecurity
Where
drove.
were you living?
I lived out in the Pacific Northwest. I lived in Astoria, Oregon, Long Beach Peninsula, right down there. I lived on a beach for a little while, and then a peninsula, and then moved into a fishing town, and then moved into Portland, Oregon, a cow town, and then had a lot of shit happen that in a cow town they think they can get away with things like that, and in Chicago they would have been all murdered,
Yeah,
literally murdered.
yeah,
And so I had to leave that situation. And coming back to Chicago, I didn't know what I was facing. I didn't even know why I was coming back here. But it was to find myself and to realize, who I was and who I am and why I left. I'm leaving Chicago again soon because it's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to LA in that area now. But
You'll have fun.
yeah, I love Chicago too. It's just not for me
LA
anymore.
is like a big playground for grown-ups, so it's fun.
Yeah,
You'll have a good time.
I lived in LA before, and the thing about LA is they don't Satanism means something in Chicago, and it means Christian kind of shit. They're scared of things. In LA, they sort of don't care. They're gonna treat me the same. They don't really care. Oh, that's what you do for money. That's great. That's what you do. We don't care.
Yeah.
And they're gonna entertain it and look how to make money off it. Where in Chicago, they look how to use it to stifle you or to attack you or whatever. It's just a different culture.
Yeah.
But with all in all, I'm glad I came back. I just have my confidence back in who and what I am, and what brought it to me too is like everything that I've survived, and I know that you've survived a lot. Like everything we've survived, when I think about that, I'm like, yeah, shit, I've survived a lot. It's hard to fuck me up. Like,
It's remarkable how durable we can be.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, considering how many of my friends are dead, it's like, why me? And why am I still alive? Or am I is this like one reality, and in alternate realities, maybe I'm dead and my dead friends are still alive, you know?
I think it's a,
Uh,
I think it's a testament to being a Satanist being born and not made.
yeah.
The
Well,
this
that's a quote that the Church of Satan certainly likes to downplay.
Right, of course, they don't want that cuts down on the membership.
Yeah.
But that kind of survival, that self-preservation, naturally on accident, we've survived. I I saw you in a situation that I don't know, you were lucky to survive it, and I've been in many of those situations, so I know that I can relate to that. I'm like,
Yeah.
how in the fuck did I even survive that? And it wasn't by luck though either. It was also about me being able to navigate the people around me and just understand how much I can get away with, and going over the edge.
How
So
much a person can survive mentally too is a challenge. I mean, it's not physical trauma is one thing. Mental trauma, it's harder to operate, do perform an operation on your psyche than it is, necessarily sometimes to perform an operation on your body and it work out right. I mean, I had spinal fusion surgery, and now I'm able to like practically jog again, which is incredible. Uh, but getting into my own mind and, sort of trying to dissect it and extract the damage that I've caused to it and that has been caused to it is like, it's very difficult, man. It's a real challenge.
that's the truth. That's the truth. But that's why I know when we were doing that, I did an interview. We talk about like we've done the heavy lifting for people, and within the satanic community, we've gone over the edge. We've gone to the brink of insanity and over, and
Hmm.
we're back to tell the story about that. So there's a lot here for people to harvest or to listen to that they don't dare want to tread. They don't dare want to go into the psychological neighborhoods that we've gone to, let alone the zip codes that we've entered into to play play with our
Yeah.
lives, just to play with our lives, not give a fuck about living or dying.
I mean, I'm not going to start telling war stories now, but I mean, I've put myself in some situations with people and places that are just the most absolutely fucked up imaginable, like something like things straight out of nightmares. I mean,
I
just
do. I do.
like your Walpurgisnacht party looked like a cupcake party or a tea party compared to some of the insanity that I've lived through and that I've also enacted myself. But it looked fun, man. I felt bad that I missed the opportunity to attend. I really wanted to be there.
This next one you're going to be. We're going to do one in Vegas. It's not going to be shut down by no one, and
Cool.
we're going to do a real cool one in Vegas. We're looking to get. I wanted to. We were thinking about getting Cradle of Filth to do it or something. but they're playing
Cool.
in May in Vegas.
Mm.
So I'm talking to
Uh,
some
yeah. Go ahead.
I'm talking to some friends, and we need to find some stuff. But I would tell people now to start making their reservations, or start thinking about in January. You and I will start releasing more information about Walpurgis April 30th in Vegas, and
Great.
it's gonna be a real good time, and it's gonna be
You're going to
bigger.
get a lot of complaint. You're going to get a lot of complaint calls about me, and which at this point is to be expected. But that's what I get. I get complained about.
So do I, brother. We have issues. We'll work through that before April. We'll work through that in December and January with some of those people probably, when
Yeah.
the event's announced. But those complaint calls are not going to matter, because we've also have a great support network that we're going to pull forward. And Anton's support network is huge and strong, and people who have served him or served that philosophy have I can tap into that network, and I can talk to people that can help us, and so can you. And so that's what we're going to be doing now. And that event's going to go off great. And people are going to complain about me too. They're just going to help advertise our event. And our event's going to be
Yep.
great. And it's not about talk. We're just going to show people. We're going to do a great event. And I want to do it. I want to do something triple X, and I want to do
Great.
something that's of age appropriate for other ages, if possible. Like, I don't know how
I'll,
Vegas
I'll, I'll
rolls.
make sure to bring my Anton LaVey Sex God book
Yeah.
to sign and sell.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll do some cool. We're going to do something that's truly a satanic event that we will be proud of. And from everything I can see, all the events that have been done in Satanism's name since the Satanic Temple, I'm ashamed to have anything to ever done with that suburban aesthetic, Christian aesthetic of Satanism that is presented everywhere. I don't think I've seen one good presentation. I think the LA one early on was a decent one, of course, LA. But we're going to do something really cool. This I know.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, the type of reaction that I've had in the past with events that I've hosted, uh, and there can be as much backlash as there can be. If we get some cool other names involved, it could make it a lot more fun and interesting. So it'd be nice if we booked or called in favors to get some cool performers.
oh yeah, next time we do this, I want to do we can do chats with people that are listening or watching.
Okay.
They can send in questions and stuff like that. I don't know how to do it right now. But yeah, your events are cool. My events are cool. We're gonna call out our friends.
It'll be a blast. Yeah.
Yeah. So so that's what I know. And how did your thing go in Georgia? You did this event in Georgia.
Oh man, it went really well. Yeah, I'm extremely pleased with how everything went. I had a great time. Um, Grave Face Museum is really cool. It's they built like a scaled down 2-story replica of Ed Gein's house, and decked it out with like Ed Gein esque artwork and artifacts and things like that. And lots of fun playing pinball. Ryan and Chloe are really cool. I had a just a. I mean, it was like the most fun I've had in like 2 days. 2 days straight, and as long as I can remember. So we've got
That's great.
we've got to top that when we do our event.
That ain't gonna be no problem. My
No,
shit's
I know that we'll put something together that's going to be fun. But yeah, I presented Satanis. That was cool. I literally got there right in time to do that and do like a brief Q&A at the end. And I I dressed up as Pogo the clown for Halloween and went trick or treating and scared a bunch of kids. It was fun, real fun. Like good, healthy, sober fun.
That's good to hear. You deserve that, Stanton. I know how hard you've had it in the last handful of years, and it's good to hear that. And I feel, when you're saying that, it reminds me of my Walpurgis event. It was so much fun, and I haven't had that kind of fun in years. I had an awful relationship that I survived and escaped, and that was a hard thing. And so I didn't think I'd have that kind of joy or grab ass fun. Oh, it was fucking good, dude. On mushrooms,
Yeah.
yeah, laughing at cops on mushrooms, nothing better, baby.
No, that sounds
and,
like a lot of
and
fun.
having beautiful women next to me laughing at the cops with me, like they're just hugging, loving up on me, and it was just like, oh, I just life, the
Yeah.
best of life.
I heard there was some negative commentary about supposed drug dealing going on at your party. Somebody contacted me and said it was obvious that people were selling drugs
Yeah,
uh, and that the whole thing seemed more criminal than satanic. But
those
but
uptight bitches.
I think yeah, I think the police scare probably you know uh, decorated their opinion. However, but
A lot of Satanists, though, a lot of these people that are come to the thing expecting.
they come with a preconceived
Yeah,
expectation of what's going to happen.
yeah. If they're looking for an Anton aesthetic, I'm not going to do that. I'm not looking to replicate something I can't. I
Yeah,
present a realistic vision of what Satanism is in the moment, and
yeah.
and
No, I
so
dig it, man.
and selling drugs that.
I watched the video of the event, and I thought it looked fun and cool. Everybody seemed to be having a fabulous time.
Yeah,
It sucks that the cops shut it down.
Stan, I got to ask, who doesn't want people selling mushrooms and ecstasy and cool drugs at their party? Is that you? Because it's not me.
No, it's not. Listen, you're not going to turn me against psychedelics. That's one thing that's never going to happen. So I, you wouldn't have gotten a complaint out of me about it.
Everything there was
Um,
party drugs. It was all party drugs to get people
yeah,
loose and in the mood, and it was
I
fun, dude.
mean, as long
Everyone,
as if there's not, if people aren't like smoking crack and turning tricks in the stairwell, then like, what kind of a party is it really? No, I'm just kidding.
that's the truth, though. That's the truth. Let's get it. Let's get
I
real.
know, I know.
People are free to do what they want, and those people complaining are
Yeah,
free to turn their back and not buy the drugs. No one went up to. No one's going to tell you
and
they forced drugs on me.
no one was peddling drugs.
I
People,
hope they.
well, you're like, I hope they were.
Yeah, I hope they were. I mean, I don't care. I would invite him in. I was like, yeah, what do I get? You know, I'm only
Where's
pissed.
my cut?
I'm only pissed that I didn't get a bag before they walked in. Who the fuck is going there selling stuff without giving me respect? Give me some respect. Give me that fucking. Put the bag in my hand and go ahead
Come
and sell
on,
the
man.
rest. Yeah, where's my respect? And so that pisses me off. Not the drug dealing. Oh man, I like doing good underground events though. When I did like Court of Porn, the first one was great, and I remember getting fucked up. Seika came to it, and it's a long time ago. And Wicker Park was dangerous, and I remember walking out, and there was a guy going, "Step on my balls." Step on my balls, and he's just like their spread eagle with something up his ass, and he's like fucking bouncing up and down, this thing in his ass, and he's like, "Step on my balls, step on my balls." And this lady with me, Rachel, she's like, "Okay," and she has fucking heels on. She goes, "Okay," and he goes, "Yeah, please," and she starts smashing his balls, and he's like, "Ah," and I'm like, "Oh my god." So if you're not into that kind of shit, don't even think about Vegas, because we want people that
Yeah.
want their balls stepped on and all that kind of shit. Like, come on, we got, we
That
can, we
sounds
can.
fun.
We can make a match made in heaven. You want your balls
I've
stepped
met
on?
I've met I've met several fans of ball stepping and having their ball stepped on, both sides. Uh, I'm very familiar, but I'm personally I can say quite honestly I have never had my balls stepped on, nor do I want them stepped on
No.
anytime soon. Anytime soon, at least, people's opinions and tastes change over time. Who knows? Maybe in 10 years, it might be a different story. But for now,
Right.
I'll pass on the ball stepping room and make my way to the BDSM room.
Right. You got to think about Albert Fish. He started sticking pins in his body. Who knows? You get old, you don't have any feeling left. You're like, I need to feel something. Step on my balls.
Yeah, yeah.
But I tell you, if you're in ball stepping or stepping on balls, if you're
Well, they're not called nuts for nothing.
we're gonna give you a special discount or something, or give you a fresh special T-shirt or sticker. We're gonna have a special thing for
I
the.
got my balls stepped. I got my balls smashed at Shane and Stanton's party.
Oh, that shirt is happening. So people who like their balls stepped on, please contact us. Hit us up. We want you at the ball purchase event. We want to
Ball
fulfill
purchase, not
ball
ball purchase.
ball purchase now. Oh God, the theme is ball stepping. My God, we've entered into a.
A hole, a fetish hole, uh, like no other glory hole ever. It's like,
Any other reviews of the wall purchase, the Witch's Sabbath that I did?
no, just that I guess there were some Satanists there that were frightened by the entire thing and
Yeah.
didn't have a fun time. Uh,
Oh, you could
but
see them. They were against the wall like
yeah,
this, in the
yeah,
fedoras. They should have got out there and danced. They would have got. They would have got laid. They would have got. They would have had a good time had they just loosened up and went out there and not been afraid. Like and just went up. Hey, I want to dance. I want to get up here. Everyone there was so inviting, dude. The greatest thing about that event and what people have walked away with talking to me about. And as a matter of fact, that filmmaker's coming over this Sunday to interview me about that event. And it's just he filmed it as an event, and he was like, "Wow, this turned out to be so much more." And he's on the phone. And he goes, "The greatest thing about that event was it was multicultural, multi-generational, multi-gender. It was everybody in the world, every kind of person was there." And he'd never seen that with an event. And I go, that's Satanism, bro. That's when we bring witches together. We're pretty
yeah,
accepting and we can laugh at each other. Look at you, old man. Look at you, young prick. You know, we could
yeah,
go. And we just have fun with it. And he goes, yeah, and everyone was having fun together. And I go, right. And even some of the older people my age, when they were talking about coming, they were like, well, it's a lot of young people. I go, don't be afraid of them. Don't be afraid of them. They're not going to hurt you. You know, just go to have fun and realize who you are, what you are. You know, don't overextend yourself with the young people. They'll out-party you. They'll outfight you. That's true. That's all truth. Just accept the truth that we can't do this anymore. And so
yeah,
they came and had a really good time, and everyone left they had a good time. A lot of people were disappointed because of the cops, but not my event.
yeah.
My event was
I
great,
dig
dude.
it.
It was great. It was
No,
fucking.
I was hit up by somebody who I'm friendly with and that was there, and he told me about it, and his his review was the first-hand review of it that I had heard, and I hadn't seen the video yet that was posted of the event. So I'm hearing this review, this first-hand review, and then I went and watched the video, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't seem that out of the norm in my book. Like, I mean, it looked like a satanic party to me.
It was.
You know,
And there was a
that's what
guy,
it was.
the guy
I
that
thought the vendors seemed cool, the performers seemed cool, everybody there seemed like they were having a good time. I mean,
bro.
what else can you expect? You can't like, you can't like expect like goose stepping chorus line, to like, uh, and like what I don't know.
I was fucking totally wet, like water poured on. I was sweating. I was out there having such a good time. It was great. Carla had a great time. She was having a
Oh,
great
don't
time.
get me started, man. When I was in Savannah, I was like, I've never sweated bullets like I did when I was in Savannah, Georgia. And I'm telling you, everybody there must think I'm just the most disgusting pig in the world because I was like literally drenched, man. And I never sweat. I'm like cool as ice, all the time. And dude, I couldn't fucking believe it. Black handkerchiefs?
No, yeah, this thing here is like a microcloth or something called DRY dry key.
No, but there was no dealing with the sweat that I was dealing with. It was like I was drenched. It was like I was under a shower the entire time. And
Yeah.
I mean that doesn't ever happen. So I felt kind of bad, like I made a bad impression that way, but everybody seemed to like me. I think that um there were a lot of like really kind and empathetic people and a lot of Satanists. I couldn't believe, man. Dude, I walked out of Graveface Museum and this guy was taking trash out of a restaurant, totally unrelated to the museum and anything. And the museum doesn't have, it's not like they're not currently showcasing a lot of satanic stuff. It's just there's this very satanic vibe about the place. Like when you go in, you're like, oh, this feels like I'm in Satan's lair. There's like a giant devil head that you walk through to enter the museum, like a carnival style one. Um, but I walked out of the place, and some janitor or cook or something was taking trash out or doing something, and he's like, "Love your Baphomet medallion," and I'm like, "Thanks, man. Okay." I'm like, and that was the kind of like treatment and reaction from everybody there was just like, "You're really related to Anton LaVey? That's fucking crazy." I mean, everybody was like, just like flipping out. I mean, I made out like a bandit selling merch. It was fun. Um, I think I made a wise choice in pricing everything at $20. It was like, it doesn't matter how cool it is or not cool it is or whatever it is, everything's $20, and people seem to enjoy that. I wasn't like I wasn't trying to gouge anyone on anything, and I did really well. Surprisingly, I mean, not surprisingly. Sharon always tells me, she's like, "It's not surprising. Our stuff is cool," and
Right.
I'm like, "Yeah, it is." You know,
Right.
it's surprising to me because I'm self-conscious, and
It's
like
that
that's just how it goes.
it's that insecurity that I talked to you. But we like I found myself again in Chicago. I'm secure of myself again, which Sharon said is tools. And one of like I'm friends with all my old girlfriends, so they come over and visit. And early on, Lisa, she's like, Shane, you're cool. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, you are like the epitome of cool, dude. Like, do you not realize this? And I'm like, no, I don't. Actually, I feel like a piece of shit. And I'm like, Lisa, was I nice to you? Was I a good person? She goes, Shane, you are a good man, and you are a cool person. People follow your lead on coolness. I mean, you are a hipster in the genuine sense, like you know. And she's telling me this, and I'm like, she goes, have you forgotten? And I go, yeah, I guess so. But some of her came back. Like Sharon's right. What we do is cool, and there's a reason.
Fucking cool. Yeah.
There's so many people into Satanism now is because of the trails that we helped cut down or continue to
Yeah.
maintain when your grandfather and other people
Grandfather.
blazed them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what we do is cool. And that's
Absolutely.
why I'm not worried about any reviews of an event I did because they were lucky they were there. It was A, historic, and you're never going to be at an event that cool again, probably that person. And I know the event in Las Vegas will be very, very cool. And what I'm trying to do now is formula. Well, have we told them about Elon, the meeting we have with Elon Musk? We shouldn't talk about that now, should we? Let's talk about that later.
Okay.
Just put it this way.
We'll wait. We'll wait.
Just put it this way.
That's that gives another. There's another conversation to be had about that guy on another episode. So
Vegas is going to be well funded. It's going to be a really good time. We got some backers. I'm not going to say who.
we need to make. Okay, Sharon has this great idea. It's excellent to make LeVay brand electric cars that are modeled after some of Anton's personal car collection, like his classic cars.
Let's not
So,
talk
so
about this yet because we don't. We got to have that meeting with dude. You
yeah.
know, let's not fucking jinx the deal. Let's.
No, I know stuff like that is incredible. I'm super down.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Elon, and I think that everything he does is cool. I've been using PayPal since it was invented. Big fan. So
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna.
don't drive I don't drive a Tesla yet, but I'm open minded.
We're gonna help him a lot. We're gonna help Elon. We're gonna help each other. We're gonna help him with Twitter. He's gonna help us. People are gonna see the things that are gonna shift. 2023, everything shifts. So you better get on the
Yeah,
right
man.
side of this shift while you
Of the
can.
axis.
Yeah, you got to get on the right side of the shift while you can.
Yeah, man. I
What
dig
else?
it. I
What
dig it,
else?
Daddy-O.
What else you got? We've been on for an hour. We probably should stop and get on for an hour next
Yeah,
week.
let's kill it, man. We don't want to give too much away.
Right on, brother. Talk to you soon. Talk to you next week or
Hail
two.
Satan, buddy.
Yeah.
Good talking.